Welcome everyone. Today we're talking about an item. This item gives you attack speed and armor. It's usually only bought by offensive heroes, but it is in the armor category. Can you guess what it is? I'm Navetz, representing my esports team, the Sploush Troupe, and this video is brought to you on behalf of Gamers Class. Of course you were able to figure it out. Assault Cuirass is the item we're talking about today. Now I don't normally do item guides, and I plan on doing a couple of these because there are some items that are interesting and sometimes overlooked, and a lot of times they're the nuance items that could really change the game for a lot of people. I think that Assault Cuirass sometimes can be that item, particularly being picked up on a carry position hero. Not all the time, but we'll talk about when it gets picked up, why it's good, and things like that. First off, let's start by looking at what it does. So the Assault Cuirass is let's look at its components to begin. So here's our Assault Cuirass. It is built out of pretty awesome components when you think of what you need when you think of hitting power spikes and timing. So you can use a Hyperstone right away, which is awesome. It gives you 60 attack speed. You can use a plate mail right away because it gives you 10 armor. The buckler can be used very early and it's very cheap, so you could even use this as one of your starting items, or you could start with the ring of protection that the buckler is built out of and then complete the buckler with the recipe later. And finally, you need the recipe for the Assault Cuirass, and then it completes the final item. And what the final item does is basically takes the components of the item and then gives some of that in an aura around you. So it will give you 30 attack speed personally, and it'll give you 10 armor. So that will be applied to your hero only. Then what we're looking at is it will give you an assault aura, and that aura gives 30 attack speed to everybody around you. But here's the most important part of the Assault Cuirass. It gives 5 armor to nearby allied units and structures, and it decreases nearby enemy units and structures armor by 5. So that is actually an armor differential of 10 if you think about the fact that you're reducing 5 to the enemy units and gaining 5 to yours. But armor doesn't really work that way. Just because we reduce their armor doesn't make us take less damage when they hit us, but still it's an important thing to note. It changes the effective HP that everyone has. So this armor aura is really good, and that's what you need to think about when you're picking this item up as a nuance item. So who even buys an Assault Cuirass, and why would these heroes pick it up? Well, let's think about how that item works. It gives you attack speed, it gives you armor, and then it gives you aura attack speed and armor. So it would be good on heroes who have a lot of survivability, heroes who need armor, and heroes who benefit greatly from attack speed. The number one hero that comes to mind when I think about the Assault Cuirass is currently Wraith King. So Wraith King does not have a lot of armor to start out with. It's only 2. He only has 2 armor to start out with, but he also has a low amount of attack speed. If you increase his attack speed, it gives him more attacks and more of a chance to get Mortal Strike off, which is his passive spell that does 300% critical damage. So building an Assault Cuirass is great on Wraith King. The other reason is because he has reincarnation. So obviously he gets to stay alive a little bit longer because he gets 2 lives. You give him his second life, and that means that his aura persists in the fight for longer than it did before. Typically you'll see a Wraith King hero go for a Radiance into an Assault Cuirass, or sorry, not Assault second. He'll go Radiance into Heaven's Halberd, and then Assault Cuirass. But we are seeing Silver Edge start to get picked up a little bit more. Still, besides the point, Wraith King is probably the first I would think of. The next is going to be a hero like Alchemist, who has a very similar strategy to Wraith King. So if we take a look at his stats, he has 2.7 armor, which is kind of low to start, but he has a similar gig to Wraith King going on here. He benefits a lot from additional attack speed while he's in Chemical Rage form, and while he's in Chemical Rage form, he's unlikely to die. So giving Alchemist attack speed and then hitting a big timing to take towers and win team fights is important on Alchemist. So he can get a very early Radiance because of his Great Evil's Greed, and then after that you'll typically see somebody go into either a BKB, an AC, maybe a Manta, but usually an AC is thrown in there. So Assault Cuirass is a big item for Alchemist. It gives him the attack speed, it helps him with team fights, and don't forget that it reduces the armor of buildings. So Assault Cuirass is really, really good on somebody like Alchemist as well, who wants to end the game early and take towers and do things of that nature. I did just mention something pretty important, and that is the fact that AC does reduce the armor of towers as well, making it a really good pushing item. So who would be good with tower armor reduction? If we think about it, and then who would also be good with auras? If we think about that, it brings us back to our zoo type heroes. Heroes who are really good at pushing fast, heroes who have multiple units to control. So I'm thinking of 4 in my head right now, and I'm sure there's more. But one big one that we've seen recently that normally this wasn't picked up on is Nature's Prophet. Nature's Prophet is a hero that pushes fast, has a lot of team fight, or participates in a lot of team fights, does well with auras, and is good at taking towers. Another one is Lone Druid. This is for a number of different reasons. This is because you put the Assault Cuirass on Lone Druid, you want Lone Druid's bear to have some additional armor so that at level 15, you can take the minus 10 second Savage Roar cooldown instead of the plus 8 Spirit Bear armor. You would rather have that Savage Roar cooldown instead of the Spirit Bear armor. And again, it does give you the aura. You get 2 bear lives as long as you don't let your main hero die. And then it helps everybody in the vicinity. Even if Lone Druid himself can't be in that area, your bear can carry the auras towards the hero. And then there's 2 more heroes that I'm typically thinking of in the zoo meta, and these are the big ones. They are Lycan, who has his wolves, he pushes towers, he chases people down. The Assault Cuirass is just overall a really good pickup on Lycan, and Beastmaster. Now, they're not necessarily items you're going to buy all of the time on these heroes, but Lycan and Beastmaster, definitely heroes that pick up Assault Cuirass, usually as their 3rd or 4th item, depending on how the game is going. So those are zoo meta heroes, or at least fast pushing heroes with summons that are probably picking up an Assault Cuirass. So where does the nuance for the Assault Cuirass come in? Like, which heroes would pick up an Assault Cuirass in a game that you wouldn't really expect it, right? Well, I'm gonna go ahead and just give you one example and give you a couple heroes that this hero would pick up an Assault Cuirass against and the reasons for it. So right now, what we know about the Assault Cuirass is that it gives us attack speed, it gives us armor, it gives us auras, and it reduces the armor of buildings and enemy heroes. What heroes are we worried about if I'm playing a hero who has low armor? I would be worried about heroes that also reduce my armor. So I'm thinking of 2 mid heroes in particular. Templar Assassin, because Templar Assassin's build is typically going Blink Dagger into Desolator or Desolator into Blink Dagger. And another mid hero that's very popular right now, which is Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend, not because he buys a Desolator that often, but because he has Presence of the Dark Lord. And what Presence of the Dark Lord does is it reduces your armor by 4, 5, 6, and 7. So these are 2 heroes that if you bought an Assault Cuirass against, it would really mitigate the additional damage they do due to their armor reduction. What else is really good against Templar Assassin, for example? Let's go back to TA. Where are you, TA? Whoops. Templar Assassin, for example. Well, Templar Assassin has Refraction, which gives her instances or charges around her body that stops her from taking any damage until you break those refraction charges. So the attack speed is really good against her. I'm thinking of the most standard carry hero in the game, Juggernaut. Juggernaut is a hero that really suffers from having low armor. If you don't buy armor items on Juggernaut and you try to spin away from one of these heroes, from either right-clicking Shadow Fiend or right-clicking Templar Assassin, you will probably just die in your spin. This is a situation where buying an Assault Cuirass might be good against a hero like Templar or Shadow Fiend. Now, Juggernaut's not always the hero that's going to buy it. Sometimes one of your other heroes will buy the Assault Cuirass to give bonus armor to everybody else, but it's not unreasonable to buy it on a carry hero like Juggernaut. So these are the Nuance type of situations where you would think, hey, maybe this game I try out an Assault Cuirass on this hero and I see how it feels. Like, you might buy it on somebody like Lifestealer as well. Lifestealer is a hero that he has a built-in BKB, so the only thing he's really going to be taking damage from is physical damage with armor reduction. Same thing with Juggernaut, and both these heroes do really well with attack speed. I mean, Lifestealer has his own attack speed spells or passives, but Juggernaut has so much damage that comes out of Blade Dance, and he benefits from the attack speed inside of his Omni Slash. So building an Assault Cuirass on a carry type hero when you're against a lot of armor reduction and physical damage can be a really good call, and it can be a game-winning item decision. Thank you for watching. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight on the Assault Cuirass and how the armor defensive item can be used on offensive heroes. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. Until next time, one love.